Welcome back to the Wingin It Podcast. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing good.
It's a new week, new day.
Still revising for the first set of exams.
Yeah, I've not touched any theory since
you
I
passed
left
them.
it. No, I've been just
sorted.
dossing around basically. I don't know. I feel like I should be doing something though.
To be fair, the amount of work you put in beforehand, I think it's fair enough. You're just taking a week off.
Or three. Three.
Or three.
I don't know. I've been focusing. To be honest, I've been kind of brainstorming stuff for this. I've been focusing a lot of time on this and stuff that's obviously going to come out in due course.
That we've got plans.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Stay tuned, subscribe. Or what do you do for podcasts? Do you subscribe to podcasts?
I think it's a follow, like, rate it.
Just do it all.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's all we've got set up at the moment.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I'm really
Again.
looking forward to the stuff that's coming out though. I think
I'm
it's
looking forward to getting new people on. Getting different people on.
Yeah.
Even though getting it organised and obviously because they're really busy, understandably with what
I
they do.
reckon for getting people as guests on, it has to be one of the hardest industries because it's so like just so fluid, like dynamic. No one can commit fully to a date.
No, because a lot of people are on standby or they're just
Business people.
1 second they'll be here in the country, the next minute they're halfway around the world, I guess.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know. We'll get it sorted eventually.
We'll definitely get it sorted.
I mean, we've got some people kind of like semi-confirmed. We've got an episode to come out as well, which we've got Alex from the Pilot Network on, which is a fun episode. To be fair, I think we just almost impromptu. I think it was.
It was last minute.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. What we were just saying off air, we're going to start doing Room 101. I nicked it off another podcast, but I think it's a brilliant idea. So
I agree.
To explain the concept, if anyone's not seen Room 101, essentially it's an item that you put into a hypothetical room, the 101 room, it's an item which is kind of in youth speak goated, like it's invaluable to you. And then you explain why. Obviously,
with it being on this podcast, aviation related.
Yeah. I didn't understand anything because it could be a rabbit hole, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, with that being said, what is your Room 101 item?
Yeah, obviously, you did mention this idea to me a few minutes ago, the first time I did it. And while I've been thinking, I would put, I'd probably say the CRP5. Flight computer. And hear me out.
There's a lot of hearing out to this.
No, because first of all, every time I use it, I think this is incredible. Like the things you can actually do with it, you can do a lot.
Yeah.
You can do a lot. And that's what they used to use all the time in aviation to work out everything because you can work out a lot of stuff with it. I think the CRP5 is the full one for commercial use because there is a CRP3.
Yeah, I think it's just,
for like
I'm not actually sure what the difference is.
You can do the PPL stuff, but not much commercial stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
All I remember is being told at PPL level, if you wanted to go commercial, just buy a CRP5 straight away.
It's like a 20 quid difference, isn't it?
I think it's more than that. About 30.
Oh,
I think like one's like £80, one's 50.
I'd say the CRP5.
They're not cheap.
They're not.
But having said that, whoever created that thing, genius.
But
hands down genius.
If you think about it though, they're not cheap because think about like the tolerance they've got to make it to. Like it's a calculator at the end of the day. So it's not like a mechanical calculator where it's either on or off in binary speech. This you've got to make it to the finest degree of perfection.
Oh, you got to get. I'm sure they've got a template.
Well, but everything gets manufactured to a tolerance. So stuff that's cheap, like a rubber duck. Right, the tolerance for them, like in terms of measurements, is going to be like
whatever.
quite large. Whereas this man, because it's like when you sit in the revision sessions or whatever, and everyone's like, "What answer have you got?" Everyone's got a different answer.
Yeah,
and it's because of tolerance, but that'll have to be within a range, and I bet it's so tight. Realistically, it'll be really tight.
I have noticed in some of the exams, some of the questions, the choices of answer that you come up from the CRP5, there isn't, you're not given much of a tolerance.
No.
Of like, error.
It's like
leeway, basically.
It's when you're like measuring stuff on the on maps and stuff as well. you're supposed to use, blags my head, at the top of a map there's a scale in quotations.
Yeah.
Yet you're supposed to use a compass and use the meridian parallel lines. The lines are parallel. Latitudes are parallel. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I was out drinking yesterday, so I'll allow it. Parallels are latitude. That's what I was trying to say. Use them as a measurement stick as opposed to the scale, which makes sense.
It's like 60 nautical miles.
Yeah.
Between each one.
I mean, I get why, because obviously if you're measuring in certain directions, then there might be a little bit of difference. But still, I don't know, blows my mind. There's too much to think about.
I just use the scale.
Yeah, do you know what? I would as well. And to be honest with you, you've got a point if you argue it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
that's if you're given a scale though on the image. Because I've had exam questions where you don't get one.
That's a point.
And I've just not had the time. I've just like,
I tell you what's quite funny is when, I mean, you'll probably yet to see it, but they give you like copies in person, and the copies are absolutely terrible. Like it's almost like someone's just taking a picture at a random angle. Like, say the paper's flat like that, someone's just taking a picture like that. It's like, it's not going to be perfect because it's taken at an angle. It's not head on. It's not like
it's not like a scan.
I think it is a scan, but it doesn't look like a scan. It's bizarre.
How did
and it's also at an angle as well.
The right answer.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like, do you know what? This question's a bit too easy. Let's make it harder for them.
Literally, yeah, man.
What's the point?
But yeah. So you put a CRP5.
I'd put the CRP5. No, genuinely, because
what a loser. There's me. You could have chosen anything. Anything cool, like new technology, headset.
What do you mean? It's like old school.
CRP5.
It'll never go out of fashion.
Hey,
it'll always be used.
You've got a rocket now, man. You've got a rocket.
Yeah.
You got a But to be fair, you say
my answer.
Well, yeah.
It's locked in.
You say the thing is, this leads us on because we come up with like a subject area for this podcast specifically. You mentioned it'll always be used. Do you think so? Do you think a CRP5 will always be used?
Yes, because I genuinely believe about technology. It's great. It does everything you can think of. It always work until it doesn't. And that's what they say. Like, there'll be that one time you have to know what to do. And how's the only way you're working out? Yeah, you can speak to air traffic control if you're mid-flight or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you have to calculate something, I think they'll always make you carry it. They'll always make you learn it.
Yeah, I guess it's like when you have to carry a map legally. But I don't know, in my head that makes more sense.
A chart of some... Because you can have an electronic chart, can't you?
Yeah, but you got to have a physical, like 500, half a mil chart.
I don't want to say no, you don't, because this is being recorded. But
no, I'm pretty sure you do.
No, I swear.
Illegally.
I swear that they've been certified as classed as like a legal document.
I don't know.
I'm sure I was told when I went down the other few weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that leads like
we're gonna have to Google that.
It's like an electronic flight bag. I guess there's a lot more reliance on that kind of.
Yeah, accuracy wise.
Shit. But that moves us on to the topic of the all important question of the podcast. What do you think the future of aviation holds?
Ooh.
And now let's break it down because it's quite a
that's a bit of a heavy
question.
Hitter.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
But let's break it down. So we'll start off with the airlines. What do you think? Because the airlines are going to have to adapt. They already are adapting, and you look across the timeline of history, or the timeline of aviation. The low-cost carriers didn't exist back in the 60s. Or I didn't think they did anyway. Or they didn't exist in the same entity that they do now.
No, definitely not. I think technology's helped out massively. Massively.
I think
it's all about speed. How quick can you turn it around?
Yeah,
constantly. Yeah. And you've had a lot of airlines try the low-cost transatlantic flights.
Yeah.
And most of them have failed eventually.
I think my personal thoughts on this whole transatlantic at low cost. I think there's obviously a market there. There obviously is going to be a market there. And I think it'll open up because there's always going to be demand. Like for those who've not been fortunate enough to travel across the Atlantic, because let's be honest, it's quite a high fare to travel across the Atlantic, even at the lowest of times, like economically like lowest of times, but. There's definitely a market there. Like, look at me. Look at Orlando. Orlando's already a really popular destination for young families. Because realistically, we're looking at kind of like the young generation who won't be able to afford I know it's stereotyping, but like the younger generation won't be able to afford. But I think low cost transatlantic opens it up to a lot. There's a big market there.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting it's not worked yet.
I just think it's all about timing. I think now it will likely work, or it's more likely to work, should I say?
Yeah.
I
guess the one thing with the airlines, the low cost airlines that have been successful on a European scale, let's say, or local scale in quotations across Europe, is that you're kind of willing to just sit in a not very comfy seat with no entertainment and having to pay for your own food, but you're willing to do that because you're getting a cheap flight.
Yeah.
Will people be the same? Will people have the same thought process with the transatlantic flight, which is at the minimum 5 hours?
I'm gonna say yeah. Entertainment. That's
because I heard there's regulations on it, having entertainment on.
Is it?
On flights are a certain threshold. Yeah, I might be wrong, and some might be pulling my leg, but I thought that was a thing.
I think what's the point in having them? People have their phones, people have their iPads, or people have tablets or Androids, whatever, and people download films just to watch.
Well, that's the thing though, like
or read.
Well,
People
yeah,
read
exactly.
books. They'll find their own way to entertain themselves, and
Of
I think
course.
it's the best idea. Just
Yeah.
forget entertainment. So that's one cost down.
But obviously, you look at 10 years ago, not everyone had an iPad. Whereas you look now, most people have got tablet in some sort of description. Whether they use it or not is a different story. But people use their phones a lot.
You don't even need a tablet. You don't need a phone.
Phones are big enough.
Bring a book.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. The amount of times I've gone to WH Smith with the intention of reading a book on the flight.
Yeah, but
I got to the first page. I'm like, yeah, I can't remember.
You've probably gone and bought some football manager's autobiography, haven't you?
Nah, I used that.
Harry Redknapp.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, yes, if I read Harry Redknapp's, but yeah, I know what you mean. But
It just depends
you're
what
right.
you pick up.
You're right in the sense that I think people will start coming up with their own.
They will. They'll find their own
ways about it. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, I think we're both in agreement that there's a massive market.
Yeah. In terms of food, I think
the thing is, airline food, right? At the moment, with low costs, is that's where they make the money. They make the money on alcohol and food. A lot of it, anyway, or a large proportion.
Well, charge like €5 to €8 or pounds or whatever for a bottle of water.
So again, it comes back to the question: will people be willing to pay? Imagine you're going to eat. Say you're going to the west coast of America, right? That's a 10-11 hour flight, I think. I've never been to the west coast, so I couldn't actually tell you. But I think it's a 10-11 hour flight because it's 5 hours to New York.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's another 5 hours across the country, I think. So on 10 hours, on a 10-hour flight, you're going to be eating at least. Well, you're going to have one main meal, put it that way.
Yeah.
You have to.
I'd say 2-3 times.
But
you're
going to be forking out 20 quid.
I think you should be able to be given the option. Do you want 1, 2, or 3 meals on the flight? It's up to you. But
you've got people starving at that.
Hold on, sorry, that's up to you. But if you change your mind, you change your mind mid-flight, you're being charged a premium.
Yeah, true. That's actually
That's on you.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I'm telling you, Mr. O'Leary will be doing this.
Yeah.
He'll be listening to this. He'll be like, what?
Copyright it. There's your IP there. I've never actually thought about it that way.
It's like that. You're already starting to see a movement towards it. Whether it'll last, I think it will, but we'll see. With Norse.
Yeah.
They're doing
there's
low cost. And they've just been accepted by the UK regulator to do commercial flights from the UK over to the US.
It's an interesting move that from whoever's the brain behind Norse, because obviously they've looked
apparently they used to run a low cost Norwegian airline.
Why is it always Norway? Norwegian Airlines were the last ones who tried to do low cost transatlantic.
I don't think they're related.
No, but I'm just saying all from Norway.
That's a good point. They probably just want to go to the US so much.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. I mean, they've obviously identified that there's like we were saying earlier, there's a market there, but they've obviously to the point where they've backed it. They've put a lot of money behind it. It's an interesting development. It'll be interesting to see how it develops. See say 5 years down the line? I mean, to be honest, I think we'll know within 2 years whether it's a success or failure.
Well, I don't know about the next 2 years. Just simply the economic situation. I'd say we're in the UK, but I think the whole of Europe is kind of being affected by it. Don't know about the US.
I'm not educated enough to kind of. I know in the UK right now, at the time of recording, the pound is absolutely tanking.
Yes,
it's which isn't good.
It's almost equal to the dollar, isn't it?
Yeah, which
Not
is crazy
far
because I remember the times when the pound was
almost double.
$2.
Yeah, $2.
And now it's the dollar's almost
showing your age there, Jacob.
24 next month. But yeah, this feeds into how will aviation adapt in the future to the economic situation across the world. And don't get me wrong, it's like that. It's a cycle.
I mean, so we've just covered airlines. I want to bring up aircraft technology and everything.
Well, it feeds in, I guess. It feeds directly into it.
And I had this conversation with my mum and dad, and they both said, because we were talking about automated flights, no pilots on board, and I said, yes, but the only thing that's keeping, in a sense, and feel free to let us know if you disagree, whoever's listening to this, but the only thing that's keeping pilots on airlines, on airplanes, flying them, is the public view, because they don't feel safe with completely automated flight, and which is rightfully so. It's still in fairly new technology. You don't actually know what's going on, and things can go wrong. And they were saying, well, what about electric planes? Because they've heard on the news.
Well, there's recent developments for electric flight. Yeah. Very recent.
Rolls-Royce made a fully electric plane as well, and it's like. Have you seen it?
I think I've seen it in person.
Have you? No, you haven't.
I've seen a Rolls-Royce test aircraft, but I can't remember whether it was powered on hydrogen.
Like a one-seater.
No, it's not that. It was. I think the one I saw, it was powered on hydrogen or some sort of sustainable fuel, and it was parked away at Cranfield Airport.
Is that where they do their operations?
I don't know. They're based in Derby. There's airfield near. There's probably airfields near Derby, but I mean, you've got East Mids, but I'm pretty sure they probably be based out of East Mids.
Probably like Nottingham or something.
Yeah, but is it long enough?
Oh, I don't know. But anyway,
the runway that is.
So I was saying to them about the electric planes. I don't think a fully electric plane without an external, just running off of batteries, no external source of power like fuel, I don't think that they'll be viable. Because obviously battery technology is getting better. They're getting lighter, they're getting more powerful, last longer. Okay, that's fair enough. But what if you have a shortcut or power outage? The controls of the aircraft, they're not hydraulic. They'll be electronically...
Fly-by-wire.
Yeah, electronically driven. So now you're just basically a rock in the sky.
Yeah. Do you know what my counter argument to that would be though?
What?
Is that redundancy, right?
How much can you have though?
No, but it's, I guess...
Yeah, but if it's electric...
Yeah, but they can separate batteries systems. I mean, don't get me wrong, by doing that, you are significantly reducing your... you could be significantly reducing distance.
And then if you have to add the equal amount, that's more weight, and then...
Yeah, but again, I think if with something like that, there'll always be redundancy. But it's just whether it's financially worth it to the airlines.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're at that stage yet. And to be honest, I don't think...
Not in our lifetime.
From what I've heard off my mates who have obviously gone into the industry now after working, after studying aerospace, from my lecturers and stuff like that, we're a little bit off.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of time off that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you say, there's just this week they've kind of announced, or not announced, but test flighted electric aircraft. I don't think it was Rolls-Royce though, I think it was a different company, but they've tested.
But have you ever noticed they're all going to be small planes?
We say that actually, I was just something's come to my head. Air Canada have made a commitment to, I forget the name of the company now, but it's the way I can describe it is, like a dash, like an ATR.
Yeah.
It's kind of that size, but
electric.
Yeah, but it's got 4 engines, so 4 props.
I think I've seen an
Couldn't tell you what company it was, but I saw an image of it. Yeah, like you, and I read a bit of an article on it. And they've committed to buying some like 50 of them, which to me suggests, well, it's one of two things. It's either they obviously see some sort of value in the fact it's going to be it's going to be valuable to them and quite soon, or it's a PR exercise.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a.
They're getting something out of it that's not actually about.
Yeah, they obviously they have the image of being they're portraying the image that they're trying to be more green and more sustainable, etc.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Time is the true test of whether that's.
We're a hold.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So referring back to the Rolls-Royce and them testing aircraft that are electric, okay, you're saying about, they can separate the batteries, have redundancies. Now, tell me if I'm wrong about this. An airplane is like a natural Faraday cage. So if it gets struck by lightning...
Well, the metal ones are, yeah.
Yeah. But there's been reports of like losing electrical equipment.
Yeah.
Temporarily. It's come back on. But how's that going to work on an electric plane?
Well, this is the thing. You're
what
right.
if it doesn't come back on?
You're totally right. But I think this is obviously where people are getting paid the big bucks, because they've got to work out these solutions. They've got to work out if a bolt of lightning hits the aircraft, how will that affect the aircraft? And again, this is what I'm saying. I think we're still a long way off. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think the solutions are there. The ideas are there. How to, obviously, because they wouldn't be going down this avenue so much if there wasn't.
Into it, yeah.
So they've obviously got the solutions, but it's whether technology has caught up yet. It's like taking it outside of aviation. You look at all the chips, right? Chip technology in the world has accelerated so much, and that's why
20 years. Or something.
Yeah, and that's why there's so much kind of extraordinary technology. I know this is broad speaking, but there's so much extraordinary technology about nowadays.
Yeah.
Or that's come to fruition in the past 5 years, past 2 years, like AI stuff like that. That is crazy. So I think what they're waiting for, not waiting necessarily, but working on, is getting that like catalyst, finding that catalyst which will just allow the progression in the electric flight field. But talking about electric flight, you can talk about sustainable fuels, synthetic. They say synthetic fuel is the kind of, because I think what they're talking about, I was listening to an interview with the CEO of Rolls-Royce, and I think the question they proposed to him is somewhat along the lines of what is Rolls-Royce doing to try and become green, right? And he said, in the process of explaining about getting to electric flight, he was like, his words were, if I'm being honest, there's going to have to be a middle ground. It's not going to be a black and white transition. There's going to have to be some sort of weaseling off actual fuels and then moving into electric. And his answer to that was synthetic fuel. But I think if I'm right in understanding, the problem is with synthetic fuel is they haven't found a way to manufacture it in large enough quantities.
Yeah.
So they're talking about synthetic fuels and hydrogen, maybe combinations of that, etc. So I think that, for me, will be the next big thing.
I definitely think hydrogen is a viable contender. EasyJet, they've just announced something.
It's been net zero commission.
Yeah.
Emission by 2050, I think.
It's progressing, but like they've said, it's not quite there just yet.
At least they're setting a target, though. At the end of the day, I think it's good that they're setting a target. And look, if they don't achieve it, it's like Jet Zero. I think that's what they're calling it, isn't it? If they don't achieve it, then hey ho. But as long as they're working towards it, because realistically in life, how many times has a target been set and it's been met? I don't think many times.
No. But yeah, they're working closely with Rolls-Royce to harness the power of energy, of hydrogen energy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think the beauty of it, I think why hydrogen is such a what's the word I'm looking for, kind of gold mine in a way, is that hydrogen's the most. No, it's not the most abundant. But what I'm saying is, it's in water.
I think it's relatively easy to obtain compared to the other gases.
I don't want to put.
We're getting way over.
Yeah.
Way too deep in.
I'd actually like to look into it. I mean, we were discussing with Varon from Pilot Network actually just over WhatsApp. We were saying we want to kind of talk about electric flight, space flight.
Yeah,
but
definitely space flight.
We'd have to obviously educate ourselves a bit more before coming on.
Yeah, maybe that's for a future episode, you know. But I just lost my train of thought then.
Well, we're talking about hydrogen. I think in quotations it's very abundant, right? But again, I think the issue, because if I'm not wrong, I think you can. I might be thinking of synthetic fuel here, but you don't have to change the engine. I think you can just plop it into a petrol engine. That might be synthetic fuel, but I don't think hydrogen's too different.
Is it not?
Is that chip fat? It's like chip fat oil. You can whack them in diesel engines, and it just works.
No, I think hydrogen's highly more explosive though. So I think you got to change the.
Oh, possibly, yeah. That rings a bell.
Air intake and that.
But it's an avenue though. If it's highly more explosive, you don't need as much of it.
No,
much of it, surely.
That's true. I think that's why it's viable.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Again,
thought.
the only problem with that is safety. It's that safety culture.
There's always solutions.
Oh yeah, I know, but it depends on the area, doesn't it? The airport,
yeah,
and how they go about it. But if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of countries that are going to have to change their infrastructure in terms of. I think Germany have got, instead of having fuel trucks deliver the fuel to the airports and having big silos and everything, they've got pipes running all around the country for each airport. Fuel.
As what? And they'd have to be transferred
underground. Yeah, that's how they do it.
Wow. Germany's a sixth world country. No. It's a first world country, but no. In terms of rankings of countries, it's like the top. We're one below Germany, which.
In terms of,
I can't remember the ranking. It's from geography GCSE, all right. It's like, I'm thinking along that, but it's in
terms of what?
There used to be 5 levels of a country's like economic, technological advancements kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like here you got first world country, second world.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's the modern version, right? But Germany's one above us now, and there's only one other country, and I can't remember what it is. I don't think it's France. No, it's something like Switzerland. I can't
England's
remember.
third. Or the UK?
No, the UK is 5th. It's in the 5th band.
Oh.
As a lot of the what we'd refer to as first world countries, but Germany and I forget which other country it was.
I'm surprised, to be fair. I generally would have said it's like Norway or Denmark.
I think it might be one of them. I can't remember.
Or even like South Korea, Japan.
Could be. I can't remember. I really can't remember. But yeah, I mean Germany's way ahead of us, I think.
In terms of engineering, you can't knock them. They're doing.
Well, you can't knock the UK. To be fair, I think the UK's got a lot of the UK.
I think Europe in general.
A lot of the aerospace industry is based in the UK, worldwide.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of it is obviously not. When you look at
it's similar to the motorsport industry because they kind of do.
It's intertwined. Yeah.
In terms of aerodynamics.
From my degree, I know that a lot of the aerodynamicists in the country work for F1 teams. The vast majority of aerodynamicists in the UK right now work for all the F1 teams.
I'm not surprised.
Well, it shows you it, but...
They're all in Woking, aren't they?
Oh, sorry, Milton Keynes, Brackley. I drove past Brackley the other day. And you wouldn't even know if you didn't know where Mercedes was, headquarters, you wouldn't have known it. I thought it was going to be like Disneyland, like, you just got Disney logos everywhere.
Yeah. I think Mercedes is going to be posted everywhere.
Yeah, Hamilton's face just slapped across like on the road and everything. So I don't know. But the UK in terms of aerospace industry is quite strong because when you look on the face of it, you think Boeing, Airbus, right? You think US, France.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's not. It's Rolls-Royce is UK mainly. I mean, they've got obviously plants everywhere, but Rolls-Royce, all the technological advancements, UK. Airbus have got 2 locations in the UK. Quite important ones as well. They got Filton and Broughton. Broughton's where they make all the wings for 320s, 350s, used to be 380s. Made the wings there.
Surely that's down south.
Broughton is Cheshire, so no. Well, it's Cheshire, Wales. It's right on the border. Have you ever heard of Airbus FC?
No.
Airbus UK FC, football team.
No.
Oh yeah, that's where it is. Broughton, Cheshire. My mate used to live in.
Wait, so they transport the wings all the way
in the Belugas. You know the whale.
Oh yeah, of course.
This was him. My mate lived in Neston, which is. I don't know if you look at a map, but you've got Wales and you've got Liverpool, and it's almost like an estuary almost kind of thing. He lived on the Liverpool side, but obviously in Broughton's just like tucked in. I without showing you a map, I couldn't tell you, but he said he used to see all the belugas flying all the time.
Yeah. How many do they have? Is there quite a few?
5, 6, 7, 8, something like that.
I didn't know there were that
But
many.
they've redesigned. I was saying this to them the other day. I think they've obviously redesigned them because can you imagine the only like big enough aircraft that could be used to transport.
Just blown up.
Well, yeah, it's either an Antonov or maybe like a Boeing, like a 747 or something.
Yeah.
And you really think that Airbus are going to be seen flying a 747 or like anything other than an Airbus? That's why they've designed their own thing. But yeah, so then Filton's a lot where they do all the testing. So down in Filton, they've got landing gear testing where it's amazing. Like I was lucky enough to visit it. They do wing testing and landing gear, any sort of testing, like life cycle testing. So like they literally have rigs which have got a wing in them, and we're talking they've been in the rig for 10 years, and all they're doing is just constantly flexing the wing to the point of like twice what they're designed to do, and it'll just
really.
And obviously if there's anything pops up, they'll know beforehand, or they should know beforehand, and then obviously they can send out directives to get fixed, etc. Same with landing gears, they're just constantly like life cycle landing gears, tire testing, electronics testing. It's incredible what they do.
Bloody hell.
I don't think you realise. This
is Airbus?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then obviously their main base is down in Toulouse.
I do.
Or Toulon, I can't
remember. If you had to choose Airbus or Boeing?
Airbus. I don't know. As a kid, right? So
I used to go be Boeing.
Yeah, no, I'm saying.
100%.
Do you know what it is?
As a kid.
I think it's FSX. Because
yeah.
the first time I ever started playing FSX, or like kind of get into aviation, was the FSX game. And the only airliners they had was 737, 747, Bombardier CRJ 700 or something. I think that might have been an airliner in a standard package, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I just fly the 747 and the 37s all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just something about Airbus. It's just slick, just really slick.
I think they're gonna overtake Boeing.
They already have done.
Yeah.
The most successful aircraft in the world is the 320 series.
Yeah. In that case, but I think as a company overall, Boeing's still a larger company. Than Airbus.
Yeah.
And it's more well known because it's got a bigger heritage, basically.
Yeah. And I mean, if you watch that flight, I'm still yet to finish that flight risk documentary, but if you look at it, like, Boeing is an American institution.
Yeah. It's too big to fail. And that's why they never got done for what they did.
Too big to fail, yeah.
Let me try that again. Funnily enough, the former CEO of Boeing has just been done by the SEC for lying to investors regarding the 73 MAX.
That's, yeah.
Too late now, though. And you're just going after an individual rather than the actual company.
Well, this is the thing, again, linking back to the main question in the pod is, what does the future hold for Boeing?
Yeah.
Aircraft-wise. So, I mean, Airbus have just delivered their first couple of A321 long ranges or extra long ranges. Yeah. Which supposedly have been a really big success. But I don't think Boeing have launched the 777 extra long range, stuff like that, in the past. Not so recently, but they exist.
They've got the new 777X, aren't they, coming out?
Yeah, something like
recently.
that. But looking at the market, I've been told that the future demand for aviation is, in terms of aircraft, would be something like a 757, where it holds 200 odd passengers, but can travel far, as in transatlantic, like other side of America, without having to fly a wide body aircraft. So basically, essentially, it's kind of like a narrow body that's extra long range, and I think that's why Airbus are looking at obviously exploiting the whole extra long range series with their 21s, 321s or 20s, I don't know. I think the Max is a long range aircraft as well. I just don't think it's got the long range attached to the branding of it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm intrigued to see if there's any actual aircraft in, like new aircraft in development. Because obviously at the moment everyone's just
recycling
their old aircraft and making them modern. Because there was talk about 797. Have you ever heard about that?
No, I never heard about
it. It was going to be something like, well, it was rumoured to be something like a 757, but modern.
That'd have been cool. That would have been cool, but I don't think you can replace a 7.5. I think...
They're getting phased out, unfortunately.
Well, the A380s and the 747s as well are getting phased... Well, Airbus have stopped making A380s. Boeing stopped making 74s.
Massive success, I heard.
Oh, the A380?
Yeah,
no,
I've been told some stuff I probably shouldn't have been told.
Really?
Yeah.
Anything, anything you can share on this?
No, not without getting people into trouble. Put it that way. I'll tell you.
You should have mentioned it.
I'll tell you off camera. But at least people want him more, man. Yeah, I'll tell you off camera. But I thought apparently Emirates want a bigger aircraft than the 380. But I'm not sure that how it works because they barely fill the 380 anyway.
Really? I thought they fill them up every time.
No, I don't think so. I think on some routes, yeah, but like on other routes, it's like a 60%.
Maybe they're the routes that they want them on, though.
Possibly, yeah. Well, I guess it's less fuel in it.
If you can get a larger aircraft, you can get more people and have, more people, and you can only have 5 routes in a day, for instance.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah, but then this is the whole issue with the 380, right? Is that only certain airports could accommodate the 380. And I think that was partly why there was a failure to the program, the whole program, because
to do with
because they'd have to make extra wide. The taxiways have to be extended, like some parts of the airport, in terms of where the aircraft go free, like on the apron, ain't wide enough. Yeah, the wingspan's so big.
It's like the sky bridges as well.
Yeah, actually, they have to redesign everything. I think that's partly why it failed.
Oh, well,
I say failed. Obviously, it's an iconic aircraft. Financially, I don't think it was great.
That's one of the other things, though, you were referring to about future of aviation. Now we can get onto the airports. I think there has to be somewhat of a change.
I mean, yeah.
And this is the thing. Airports need to expand.
And also, I think
I think more need to open up in certain areas.
Yeah. Well,
or have smaller municipal airports that interlink to the larger airports, so you can travel there.
Yeah. But this is the thing. This takes you back to the
how
debate we had
with air traffic control and
well, we had a debate on a previous episode about EasyJet and how they don't bother challenging routes where it take within 3 hours of a train, right? So in the UK, I don't think it'll work because the UK, well, you can get anywhere in UK pretty much in 3 hours.
Only because the railways are state owned. Now, if you're referring to the US, then the whole flying to the airport would make sense. Because the rails are privately owned, so it takes a hell of a lot longer to travel the same distance as you would over here, passenger.
I didn't know that. I've actually travelled on the train. I've travelled on Amtrak. In fact, from Washington to Boston, actually.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and it was more expensive than getting a flight.
Nice though.
Huh?
Nice though.
Is it? Yeah, I bet it took forever.
Comfy. Yeah, a little bit. You can sleep on them though. I know what you mean.
That's the thing, but
it's all very
losing that time, and people, especially nowadays, everything's a quick society. Everything's happening quick.
But this is the thing. I think looking at airports, I think people's demands have changed now. I mean, you look at some airports and they're so outdated. The security, like people's attention spans or like kind of ability to withstand certain situations, i.e., going through security, have shortened. Like people getting pissed off now. Like at Manchester Airport, the security when I recently went through was a little bit of a joke. Like they don't use the main security hall now. They use the overflows, and I don't understand why. The only thing I can think of is that they think it flows better. I'm talking about Terminal 1 as well. I know they just dropped a lot of money into Terminal 2. But Terminal 1, like, it's a bit of a nightmare security-wise.
Do you know what the funny thing is, though? You're saying about some are outdated, but the airports which aren't outdated and the ones that are actually working and have been voted by the public as being the best are getting closed down.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
It's all about catchment area, and I don't think people realise this, is that, like, the reason Manchester Airport, I think, is so popular, forget about Manchester. People in Wales have to fly from Manchester Airport. Like Northern Wales, everyone flies from Manchester Airport.
Yeah.
People as far down south as like Sheffield fly from Manchester.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Like Derby,
where I
Sheffield.
am, where I am in Halifax, we all fly from Manchester. I mean,
Yeah,
Leeds
you go
comes
further-
into play. Leeds comes into play a little bit.
Leeds definitely does take quite a bit of
Low cost.
mainly European flights.
Yeah.
If you live in Harrogate, York,
Which don't
to a
get me
certain
wrong.
point you'll go.
Don't
to
get me
Newcastle.
wrong. I think the main demand for people like us is to go to Europe. It's not. Yeah, it's not
To be
like
fair,
we're gonna
you've
be.
got everything here.
Yeah,
haven't you?
we're pretty
You've got-
blessed. We're pretty blessed.
Yeah, you've got the sea, you've got really good weather, you've got the skiing if that's what you're into, you've got different architecture and culture if that's what you want to go for, museums.
Yeah. But this is the
You've
thing.
got
Like,
everything.
airports wise, like you say, I think places like Bulgaria or, do you know what I mean, like these kind of up and coming developing countries in a way, they're becoming more popular and people want to go fly to them, so they're going to have to upgrade.
Yeah.
They're going to have to, and then this links back into the aircraft, is that at the moment only certain types of aircraft to be able to fly into places
to
like
go
that. You see what I'm
there.
saying? Like everything interlinks. So yeah, you're right. I think.
Well, also they need to upgrade the technology at these airports as well, like the air traffic control and the other things that they've got available.
Yeah, I mean, I was messaging Alex from Pilot Network the other day. So I was asking him when I was on my flight back. Obviously, I think I mentioned we had an hour and a half delay, or we had a proposed hour and a half delay, and I was like, why is there so many delays? Every single flight I have kind of known about with friends and stuff, there's always been a delay attached to it. And I was like, why is this? And he goes, just they don't have the staff. ATC just don't have the staff to man. With there being so much air traffic in certain parts of the world, in Europe, they don't have the staff to cope with it. So
I'm not surprised if you've tried to do the exams for it to do it, and yeah, it's a difficult job, stressful, highly stressful. You just see that it takes a lot to actually become an air traffic controller. And props to them.
And what's the pay like? Do you know?
It is good,
Yeah.
but not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
Compared to what they do, and the stress. It's something like they've got the highest suicide rate for a job.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I can put two and two together with understand how much stress there is. Like, but man.
And if something goes wrong, you're kind of
Yeah, you got a lot of responsibility on your shoulders.
yeah.
But it's one of these things though. Like when you're a kid, no one goes, "I want to be an air traffic controller." Like, let's be honest. I didn't know anyone who went, "I want to be an air traffic controller."
I did before I went for my pilot training.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's no, but like when you were a kid, what did you want to be? An ATC or a pilot?
Well, this was the thing. Didn't know. I wanted to be in aviation. Loved it. Just didn't know
Where?
what each job was. You know,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. But yeah, they're closing down these airports. They need to change a lot of the infrastructure or expand.
Yeah.
I know Leeds Bradford. They had their proposal.
They were fastest growing airport in the country.
This year.
Not this year, but definitely in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
They have been.
I tell you, best
But do you know
airport.
what? Do you know what I think that is? I think that is Jet2 as well, because
Yeah.
Jet2 is just rocketed in terms of how many flights it's putting on, how many
That's a good point. Like
staff they need, etc., etc.
they seem to be going to like well-known locations as well. It's not like locations where
As in flying into major airports,
yeah,
like Charles de Gaulle, for instance, or Schiphol.
yeah, they seem to be like I don't know. Do you know like Ryanair go to airports that don't really get the traffic, and that's how they can
Yeah.
you know control like monopolize that
Yeah.
that location. Unless I'm mistaken, but Jet2 don't seem to be doing that, but they're killing it.
they might tell you what they might have taken advantage of is the airports have started cracking down on, and I know Heathrow especially, they've started cracking down on, like airlines just holding onto slots. So JetBlue, they've managed to get into Heathrow, and don't get me wrong, they're on like a 6-month kind of retainer almost thing. Like every 6 months it gets reviewed whether they get to keep the slots, because essentially Heathrow have taken slots off the airlines which over COVID haven't been using them and aren't going back to using them. They've given them to places like airlines like JetBlue who offer something, and obviously every 6 months this gets reviewed. But yeah, JetBlue have they're thriving off it, having a base out of Heathrow as a transatlantic, and the only reason they're keeping hold of, well, not the only reason, but like a major reason why they're keeping hold of these slots every 6 months is that they're trying to do lower cost. I'm not gonna say low cost because I think it is like Ryanair kind of vibes, but I think they're keeping their fares as low as financially.
Again, with that transatlantic flights kind of thing that we were just mentioning.
So yeah, I think that's one thing I think the airports are trying to evolve. Because to be fair, I do think that over the past however many years, certain airports have been monopolised. Maybe not monopolised, but duopolised, whatever comes after that. Yeah. To certain airlines. Like BA is Heathrow.
Yeah. But that'll always be the case.
Yeah. But I think the airports are starting to clock on that there's a bit more, if they can.
It's kind of like Frankfurt with Lufthansa or Dubai with Emirates kind of thing.
Obviously, they're always going to be stalwarts of that airport, but I think places like if they can get new customers through the door.
Saying that, BA's just cancelled a lot of their flights in winter, their winter schedule. They've
because of
shortage of staff again, like we were mentioning. Tell you who's capitalised on that. I don't know why I said that's so weird. I tell you who's capitalised on that. Ryanair. They've added a hell of a lot more slots and routes, and I think Jet2 have as well. I think the one I saw was Rome and Milan. They've added over the winter.
That's interesting. That's interesting, that. But I just love to know how certain airlines operate, because obviously they've found a market. They've obviously got the staff for it. Obviously, I've got the staff for it.
Depends what they offer.
Yeah.
Like to get the staff and to keep the staff. That's more difficult.
Yeah.
To keep them rather than to get them.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think it's definitely an opportunity they've just jumped upon. Whether it'll work out for them, I don't know, because I don't know. I really don't know. It's interesting. But what we'll do is we'll go on to the segment of the only name I've got for it is in the news this week. It sounds like I'm on Mock the Week. But yeah, so as of this week, it's become official that Doncaster Sheffield Airport is closing down, which I know we mentioned on a previous episode, but they've officially come out and said that they're winding down operations, and obviously you've got first-hand experience of operating off Doncaster Sheffield, so kind of what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a bit sad, I'm not going to lie, in not like a weird way, but it is, because I remember when they used to operate flights to Italy, Ryanair, to Pisa, which is where I'm from. And that I used to fly into there, like, first time when I moved to this country. And Ryanair ended up pulling out. They stopped operating there. Can't remember the reason why.
It seems to be.
I think it was something to do like they had a disagreement between the owners.
Well, it says here,
from what I'd heard.
It says here that the closure follows a strategic review into the viability and future of the UK airport that started in July. So it's been going on for a good 3 or 4 months now. The decision seemed inevitable and expected, which I think maybe if it was expected, then it gives everyone who's based there kind of a thought, like the look ahead.
Yeah, just get prepared kind of thing. What I'd been told is they had been given the go-ahead for interrail link between the main rail station in the centre of Doncaster and the airport.
Yeah. But it's in the middle of nowhere. I know most airports are, but
it's right next to the is it M18?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you look at Manchester Airport, and like say the rail link, they've got trains go to city centre every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, Leeds Bradford maybe less so. That's in the middle of nowhere, but they
That's
obviously have a bigger catchment area, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think something like that would have helped out. But is there enough people around Doncaster?
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, when you actually think about it, you've got Sheffield, you've got Doncaster, you've got Rotherham. There's Lincoln.
Yeah.
There's obviously Grimsby, Scunthorpe, Hull.
Yeah.
Humberside don't really provide any flights.
So with Doncaster, Sheffield shutting down, surely you've got to question how viable other airports like Humberside are, like Teesside are. Like, how are they keeping going? Because to be honest with you, I think Doncaster, Sheffield was a bit more of a busier airport than Teesside was. And I know Teesside and Humberside respectively have got obviously their own operations going out of there, but as I'm sure they did Doncaster, Sheffield. So,
I can only speak from what I saw. In terms of Humberside, you've got a lot of the offshore helicopters operating from there.
Yeah.
In terms of Teesside, you've got quite a bit of private traffic. We've also got a few companies who are based there that do work with the RAF. And I've forgotten
the thing is
the
that
name
though,
of it.
a lot of that is public money. If companies are working with the RAF, it's not capital investment, which is what an airport of that size I think needs. I mean, it says despite a lack of critical mass, Doncaster Sheffield unveiled a £10 million terminal expansion project in Jan 2020, along with the plans for a train line.
So just before COVID hit. March 2020.
Yeah,
COVID
it will have been so. I mean, COVID could have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
The thing is, Wizz Air was supposed to be putting many routes from there.
Yeah, and they pulled out. I think to be honest with you, I think they've just been extremely unlucky.
Yeah, and I think the way it's panned out. The only thing is, the owners are in the construction business anyway. Their original plan was to purchase the airport, knock it, clear it, and build on there. So to them, I don't believe they're actually losing out as such. Whether it stays open, if it closes.
It's the same with a lot of airfields around there. I mean, Sherburn. I know there's talks. Rumours, but I definitely think Gamston. Gamston's been talked about.
Were you going to mention about talks about the lease on the land?
No, because obviously a lot of these places and airfields are all leased or privately owned
by farmers mainly.
Well, some farmers. I mean, Gamston's owned by a businessman, but I'm pretty sure there's talks of Gamston, or there was talks of Gamston shutting down again to make way for houses.
I mean, I've heard about both Sherburn and here, as in where we're sat right now. Also, shout out to the motorist. Again, second time recording here.
Doing us a favour.
Yeah, in the suites.
Yeah, the Fanjo suite as well. I mean, you can barely see it from cameras, but it is
nice.
It's a naughty little suite.
Definitely check them out on socials. The Motorist Hub.
Again, I'll put a link in the description as well, so you can check them out.
But yeah, I think they're in the same situation, I believe, from what I've heard. From what I've been told, as Sherburn Aero Club, that the farmer owns this land. It's leased.
Oh, really?
And if he decides to sell, they can't do anything.
It's a shame, really. There should be more protection from government, because at the end of the day, it's places like this though that are the hub of.
Both places are bringing in a lot of people.
Yeah, mate. If we're being genuinely honest, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we're in the
middle of nowhere, and you look in the car park now, and you look in Sherburn's car park. There's probably combined 100 odd cars,
and it's a Tuesday today.
Yeah, so
it's like midweek.
It's places like this, and forget about flying, forget about the aviation industry. I think places like this, just generate so much money.
Yeah,
and people can get out and do things. So I don't know. The government need to act. I think, and put a bit more protection on airfields specifically as well.
Yeah, but like, who was it? I think it was said that Doncaster, they had no any of the proposals that came their way were not feasible.
Fair play to them, because I mean they could have easily
what they wanted.
They could have easily fought till the very last minute. And into some other news, and actually there's been a couple of these in the past couple of days, which is a bit worrying.
I think I know what you're going to mention.
Yeah,
now.
there's a Copa Airlines 737 goes off the runway at
yeah.
Tucumán Airport, and there was another one.
West Atlantic?
Yeah, that was a freighter, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, runway excursions weirdly happened in the past couple of days. So yeah,
I haven't been able to get any information about the West Atlantic one.
I've just seen screenshots of it, but I mean it is in half in the water. So how much damage will be done to that? And it's anyone's guess.
The West Atlantic one was.
Yeah. So
that's a write-off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
100%.
So according to flightradar.com, Copa Airlines flight CM135 left Mexico City at 22:06 on Sunday the 25th of September and touched down in Panama's Tucumán.
We'll just dub the name again.
Just an electronic Tucumán airport at 9:15. The aircraft involved was only a 12-year-old 737-800. So not very old at all.
That's not old.
But yeah, skidded off the runway. There were no injuries.
How does it work with insurance?
Oh mate, I have no
Like
clue.
on something like that. Each plane's like what, 50 mil, 60 mil for a 737?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be making these figures up.
No,
I don't
you're not
actually
far
know.
off. It's definitely a double figure in terms of millions. Double figures of millions.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, but it's worrying. Like two. There's been two in like say 2 days. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Again, you probably won't find much out about that until there's an accident report. But I mean, thankfully, no one was injured. Same with the West Atlantic flight, I think, right? There was no
there
injuries.
were 3 crew on board, nobody injured.
Yeah.
Even though it was leased by Swift Air, but at the time of the incident was operating a flight on behalf of West Atlantic.
Yeah.
So they took off from Paris Charles de Gaulle to Montpellier, and upon landing, the aircraft overran the end of the runway and reached a lake nearby. The nose gear landed in the water while the rest of the fuselage remained on ground.
Yeah, some operation.
So I guess the freight was salvageable.
Issue there has to be miscalculation or bad. Well, it's either miscalculation or bad judgment.
Well,
Surely.
a technical incident prevents normal operation. Passengers and those accompanying them are advised not to go to the airport until
it's been sorted.
Yeah.
And then finally, just touching back on, we were talking about EasyJet zero emission. The UK budget carrier EasyJet set out a plan to slash carbon emissions by 78%, which is a lot, by 2050 with an interim target of 35% by 2035, which is in 13 years?
13?
Yeah.
2025?
No, 2035.
Oh, yeah, 13.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they reach that. I mean, that 20, like you say, that'll be in conjunction with, I should think it'll be in conjunction with not just EasyJet, not just Rolls-Royce. It'll be kind of an amalgamation of all different airlines and technology firms, etc., and the government. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So just to finish off the podcast, I think we do a quick quiz.
I love these quizzes.
Yeah, I mean I do.
Because I never know any of the answers.
They're actually really hard, right? Because when you look, when you Google, like, I mean, sometimes I just don't have the time to put together my own questions, so I've just got to kind of
Google.
pre-make them. Honestly, some of these questions can be well hard. Right, so I'll give you a multiple choice quiz. We got 8, 9, 10 questions. Favorite number. Okay. So, question 1. When was the first flight of the Concorde? 69, 79, 89, or 99?
4 choices.
Yeah.
69, 79, 89, or 99. Well, 69 was the moon landing. I don't think it happened at the same time as the moon landing.
I've got to try and keep a straight face here because
okay.
I'm like Noel Edmonds.
It's definitely not 99.
He's like, you're looking at me for some sort of... Bro, I'm the quizmaster in me. I can't.
I'm going to go with 79.
Incorrect. 69.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
I presume that is a test flight.
the moon landing was 79.
No,
69.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. And you're right about
Jesus, wait,
something.
Concorde's like 50 years. Well, since its first flight, it's
You're right.
53 years ago. Yeah, 53 years ago. Only because my parents were born in the summer of 69.
Oh, was there?
I think so. Yeah, they were actually.
Oh.
Like the song. Question number 2. Which journey did... Very Concorde bases. Which journey did the Concorde on... That makes no sense. Which journey did Concorde do on its last commercial flight? So you got Paris, Charles de Gaulle to La Havana. I presume that's Cuba. I don't know. New York, JFK to London, Heathrow.
I'm going to go with that one.
You don't want me to finish?
Nah.
Yeah, you're right. So that's 1 out of 2. You have to keep a mental score of these.
Right, okay,
how many passengers can be carried on the 380? That's a tough one. Well, it's not that tough.
Like 356?
Do you want me to give you the answers? Or?
Oh, right.
It's multiple choice, bro.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, never mind.
Well, if we just set 353, that's 1. 535, 735, 853.
No, it's 300.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Oh, no, it can't be.
I actually think I know this. Well, I've got an inkling of what I think it is.
You've got the answers in front
No,
of you.
I know I haven't. I actually haven't. I've got one page
right.
open with the answer with the questions, and then.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like,
But
oh,
I'll tell you what I think it's after your answer, because I don't want to.
I've changed my answer. I thought it was 300 and odd. Because I swear, no, I'm going to stick with 300 and odd.
You're very wrong, sir. It's 853.
Shut
I'd have
up.
gone 800, yeah. But that's
Really?
obviously when they max it out. That's with no. That's like just economy seats everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you ain't gonna find.
I
that
was
one.
thinking first class everywhere.
No. No. How long did it... Why is these all like Concorde? How long did it take for the Concorde to fly from New York to London in 83? So you got 2 hours and 56 minutes, 3 hours and 56 minutes, 4 hours and 56 minutes, and 5 hours and 56 minutes.
Well, 5 hours 56 is like roughly what we do now in normal ones. 4 hours
I
56.
think it might be even quicker than that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to say 256.
Bingo.
Oh, get it.
It was a 3 hour mark, wasn't it? I think it's just a well-known thing.
Too right.
Yeah. What is the highest a commercial airplane has ever flown? These are in meters, so God help you.
Why is it in meters?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Russians who put this together, maybe.
Oh,
It's the only people who use meters, I swear. 428. That's not 428 meters. That's not very high. 4,288 meters. 8,288 meters. 14K and 288 meters. 18,288 meters.
what is it, like 3.3 feet in a meter? So I'm going to convert it to feet.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
I'm going to, what is it, 14, you said 14K? 14,
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll just do, where's it gone? 4K, 8K, 14K or 18K. Sod the...
So, and you said the
288.
highest commercial flight.
Yes, has ever flown.
18K. 3.3. So
And do you know what way I'd look at this?
60, just below 658,000 feet. Nah, that's way too high. 50. Yeah, 58. I'm going to say 14K.
You are incorrect. It's 18K.
18K?
And do you know the way I'd look at that?
Oh.
Tropopause heights. Because the Tropopause,
Yeah,
Tropopause
65.
is 16, is 11K average, but I'm pretty sure it can get to 16K in the UK, above the Europe.
Yeah, but
in
it doesn't
summer.
say that. Over the equator, it's a lot higher, so it could reach...
No,
is it
no,
65,000 feet.
Oh, it's probably so, I don't know. It's too much maths for
Watch me get it wrong.
my brain. When did the first aeroplane, Wright Flyer in brackets, fly for the first time?
Oh,
Your options are 1893,
no.
1903, 1913 and 1923. I think this one's obvious.
Yeah, 1900 something. What were the options?
1903, 19...
Yeah, 1903.
Yeah, bingo. I think that's pretty obvious because the second ones would have been close to the First World War.
Yeah, exactly.
In which James Bond movie can you see Pierce? Oh, as if he's called Pierce. I thought he was called Piers. But Pierce Brosnan jumping off a plane. I can't say I've ever seen this one, I'm not gonna lie. No Time to Die, this is so easy. No Time to Die, Skyfall, GoldenEye, and Never Say Never Again.
No Time to Die.
No,
Oh.
that's one of the modern ones.
Is it?
Yeah.
You sure?
It's GoldenEye, man.
Oh
Skyfall's
my-
modern. Skyfall and No Time.
GoldenEye?
Yeah.
I thought that was Roger Moore.
I don't know. The only way I work it out is No Time to Die and Skyfall are both
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Never Say Never Again. I don't think I've ever heard that one. So I'd have just gone GoldenEye like that.
Is it GoldenEye?
Well, it is now, yeah, because I just told you the answer.
No, oh, right.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But I'm not giving... Wait, how many points are you on so far?
I'm on 2. I've got 2 right.
2 out of 7.
Nice.
I've geek. What is the maximum capacity of a 320? 120, 150, 180, 210.
150. No, not... Yeah, 150.
In the words of... I was going to say Eamon Holmes, but it's not Eamon Holmes, is it? Who's the geezer who wants to be a millionaire?
Just tell me if I'm wrong.
Sorry, I'm just preambling.
I'm wrong, aren't I?
What did you say?
I said 210.
No, it's 180, unfortunately.
Oh, I changed my answer as well.
Jesus. What is... You should know this, because you've answered this in a quiz.
Never say this.
You've answered this in a quiz before. What is the largest airline in the world by fleet size?
American Airlines.
Yeah. It's 3 out of 9. Beautiful stuff. What is the name given... This is the final question, by the way.
Yeah. All right.
What is the name given to a flight where all the seats are rented rather than sold individually? I didn't actually know this. I mean, I know it. Give me a sec. I'll give you
Is
the
there an
options.
option?
Yeah. I just got to be involved in the actual answer for a second. What is the name? Yeah, I've just read the question. I don't know. I'm just repeating that. So it's either jet, commercial, cargo, or charter. I wish I hadn't given them answers out now because it's quite obvious.
Charter?
Yeah. So you got 4 out of 10.
Certified at AV Geek.
That is impressive, man. That's the thing is though, like we were saying though, there's so many just random stuff that you wouldn't know.
It's like, what are the ICAO standards for a passport photo? Wow.
It's air law. But yeah,
can you imagine?
But yeah, that's it. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to on your podcast platforms, leave us a rating. Leave us a rating if possible. Tell your friends about it. Share it.
Tell your nan.
Nans love us. Not in a weird way. I think it's best we leave it there.
This is getting worse.